Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are. My name is Anna Rochelle, and today we are in Course 1, Chapter 9, Day 5, Three-Dimensional Figures. And of course, as you guessed it, the big green box means we've got some vocab to do. Now, in here, we're looking at vocab about three-dimensional figures, okay? So some of them might be pretty self-explanatory, but I did try my best to give you like an actual definition. I do have different shapes in front of me, not on the screen that you can see right now, but I will be going back and forth between sharing my face and sharing the whiteboard screen. So when I say three-dimensional shapes, I mean things like cubes, I mean things like cylinders, okay? Things like cones, for example. These are all different shapes that are three-dimensional. So let's go ahead, let's get right to it, and we're going to take a look at some of the vocab at the beginning of the chapter. So a solid is just a three-dimensional shape. You're a solid, I'm a solid. The computer that you're watching me is a solid, whether it's a tablet, a desktop, laptop, phone, whatever. Those are all solid things. They have a length, a width, and a height. Or they have a base, a height, and a depth. Okay, so there's three dimensions going on here. It's not just a flat piece of paper. Okay. Then we're talking about faces. So for example, one of the shapes that we're going to talk about later on is a hexagon, a hexagonal pyramid, a hexagonal prism. So a hexagonal prism or any shape, let's take a look at a cube. Every single side is going to be a face, okay? So for example, I have a left-right, a front-back, and an up-down. Those are all faces. So when I actually remove the piece that's inside, I'll end up seeing all the different faces that this cube has. We will talk more about these shapes again, probably in other lessons as well. Okay, whoops. Oh no, you're not moving, please move. Okay, awesome. Okay, so an edge is a line that connects two faces. So for example, I have this cube here, and this portion here, this edge here, let me actually stop sharing. So this edge right here is my edge, right? It connects this face and this face, okay? This edge right here is also an edge, connects this face and that face. This is an edge as well, connects this face and that face. So it really just does depend on what shape you have. So for example, if I have my hexagonal prism, right? I have this edge that's right here that connects this face and this face. And then this face is connected by these smaller edges all around with all of these faces that are all around here. I have, for example, a pyramid, which has an edge here that connects two of the same exact triangles. And then these edges down here on the bottom that connect to one big square. Okay, let's go back to sharing the screen. Okay. Now let's talk about, okay, a vertex. So a vertex is a point that connects three or more faces. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my face again once more. So a vertex is, for example, this corner, this corner point is a vertex. It connects this face that's here to this face that's here to this bottom face that's here. So this vertex actually has 1, 2, 3 faces that it connects. I could have this vertex here, and that's going to connect this top face and these two like forward-facing faces. Okay. In most cases, vertices or a vertex can be brought up as points. I want to say always brought up as points, not just in most cases. Okay, let's take a look what's next. A prism. Okay, so actually I'm going to take a look at prism and pyramid at the same time. So can I delete that? Perfect. Oh, yikes. That's not amazing. Okay, here we go. Now we see everything. Beautiful. A prism and a pyramid are two different things. A prism looks more like a cube. A pyramid looks more like a pyramid, like the Great Pyramids of Giza. And so let's talk about the differences between both. So I have a cube that has all sides are the same. Actually, I'm going to take this rectangular prism because that's actually called rectangular prism. And then I'm going to take a square pyramid. So one thing that you'll notice is that both of them kind of have a square on the bottom. The squares on the bottom don't necessarily translate to the same squares on the top, right? In the prism, it seems to me like I have a square on the bottom, a square on the top. In this hexagonal prism, I have a hexagon on the bottom, hexagon on the top, right? In a triangular prism, I have a triangle on the bottom, a triangle on the top. So all these three shapes are prisms. I actually have another one, and that is a cylinder. Yikes. So a cylinder has a circle on the top, a circle on the bottom, and then this has just one face. But these guys, this hexagonal one has multiple faces. The square or rectangular prism has multiple faces. The triangular prism also has multiple faces. Okay. The thing that's in common between all of these different prisms is that they all have the same shape, one on top, one on bottom. The difference between these prisms and these pyramids, for example, I have a pyramid that has one vertex and a circle at the other end. I have a pyramid that has a vertex and a triangle at the other end. And I have another pyramid. And I have another pyramid that has a square on the bottom and a vertex that is at the other end. So all of the differences between the pyramids and the prisms is that the pyramids have one vertex and one face that determines what kind of pyramid it is. So this is a triangular pyramid because there is a triangle at the bottom of this pyramid. This is a square pyramid because it has a square at the bottom. This guy just does not want to be in my hands, so we're just gonna like put it away. And then this is a circular pyramid, but really it's a cone. It has a specific name. Okay, so I wanted to give you a chance to label, to give you some space to actually practice drawing three-dimensional shapes. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to draw these three-dimensional shapes. So for example, if we had to draw a cube, one of the ways that you can draw a cube is, and obviously my beautiful art is not as beautiful as I would like to think that it is. You can start off by drawing a square, and then you can draw another square that is hopefully exactly the same, as the first square. And you want them to overlap. My hope is that this will look more like a cube. And then when you go in to actually draw like the final shape, you want to be able to erase parts of this to show that this is kind of like the hidden version. This is kind of like the background. So the only real thing that you're actually looking at is this, whoops, that's not what I wanted, is this front face here, this side face here, and then this top face up there. So you're only really seeing three sides, kind of like these three sides, and then the rest is in the back. So that's one way to draw a cube. There are multiple ways to draw a cube, but that's one way. Another way to draw, for example, a rectangular prism, whoops, is you can draw, that kind of does not look amazing. Okay, that's a little bit better. is you can draw two rectangles. Hopefully they're exactly the same size, and then they're not overlapping. And then what you'll notice is this does look like a rectangle. And whoops. And you'll still do the same kind of like dotted line back here to show that that's the piece that's hiding, okay? So that you'll have, for example, this top face up here, this face on the side here, and then this front face here. Let's talk about how to draw a cylinder. Again, so anytime we're looking at different prisms, right? So prisms have the same top, the same bottom. We're going to draw kind of, hopefully, you'll do better than me, two circles. And then we're going to connect kind of the edge of these two circles like this. And then again, what are we going to do? We're going to show that this is hiding in the back. And so really we have this top face here and part of the front of the cylinder. So we're looking at the top face here and then part of this. You don't really see the bottom. So this is all how to draw a prism. Prisms, since they have the same top and bottom and they're just connected, we're just drawing two of the same shapes. Sometimes we're going to try to draw them closer together. Sometimes we'll try to draw them further apart. Now, as you can tell, my art skills are absolutely phenomenal. Let's talk about drawing pyramids. So a circular pyramid or a cone, that's not what I wanted, has a circle on the bottom and it has a vertex, and we are going to just connect that vertex. Again, what are we going to do? We're going to try and show that part of it is kind of in the background. So we're going to create this dotted line here. That's all we're doing. On your end, you would erase part of it. On my end, I just have to draw it a little bit differently. If we were to draw a triangular pyramid, we would draw the triangle. We would draw a vertex somewhere off to the side. And we would connect the vertices of this triangle, so the edges, the corners of this triangle on the bottom, with the vertex that we just made here. That also doesn't look as beautiful as I thought it would. In my mind, they all look super beautiful. But we are also going to show, that really does not look beautiful. Let's change something here. Let's actually change where the vertex is. So let's put the vertex here. And so we have a vertex here, here, and here. And when we connect these, hello? When we connect these, we'll go like this, and like this. And then we can go in and you can tell I'm super serious about this. Show that all of this is kind of in the background. In order to show a square pyramid, we would do the same thing. We would draw the same shape. We would put a vertex. We would find all the other vertices in this shape right here, right at all these edges. And then we would draw a line going through all the way from all of them to this vertex. And then again, we would go in and we would create these kind of like dotted lines showing that that's the only piece that's in the background. Okay, so we have in our notes, we want to determine how many faces, how many edges, how many vertices are in each of these shapes. So let's take a look first, and we're talking about cubes first. So let me change my marker. Okay, so when we are looking at a cube, we want the amount of faces, the amount of edges, the amount of vertices on each of these shapes. So we know that these three red faces are what we have that we can see, and on the back we have three other faces, but we just can't see them, right? So we know that there are 6 faces on a cube. When we look at edges, we would need to count them. So one way that you can count them is by just getting maybe a highlighter or a marker or like one of those flare pens and just draw these like maybe up down lines. So that gives me 4. Then we draw side to side. So that gives me another 4, right? And then, so that's 4 plus 4 is 8. And then I have another 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 12 edges altogether. Okay. And then we're talking vertices. So vertices, let's actually get a different color. Vertices are these kind of edges here when the edges connect, when they combine. So I have these guys over here, and then I have these 4, kind of like these 4 in the front and 4 in the back. So that's going to give me 8 vertices. I did not draw a hexagonal prism, but I know that a hexagonal prism is what you have. So we're going to kind of compare that with this. So the hexagonal prism has a top and a bottom, but then the amount of sides that it has actually relates to the amount of sides that are on the top and bottom. So meaning this is where, this is called a net. Let's actually stop sharing. So this is called a hexagonal prism. And if I were to take this hexagonal prism apart that doesn't want to stay together and pull it apart, you'll see that you have all these multiple different rectangles and these 2 hexagonal pieces, hexagons, one on top, one on bottom. And all of these rectangles on the sides, on the edges, are going to connect based on these edges with the hexagon. So since I know my hexagon is 6-sided, I know that the amount of rectangles that I have is going to be also 6 rectangles because it's a 6-sided shape. Same business with a triangular prism. I am going to have a triangle, and because I have these edges kind of need to connect, right? And these edges need to connect, I'm going to end up with 3 sides or 3 faces. So let's go back in here. Goodness gracious. Okay. So for a hexagonal prism, we are going to have the 6 faces, the 6 rectangular faces, plus those 2 hexagons. So we're going to have a total of 8 faces. For the edges, I know I'm going to have 6 edges for the top of the hexagon, plus 6 edges for the bottom of the hexagon. And then I have these side edges. So if I were to count all the side edges, I'm pretty sure there would also be 6 edges. So I'm going to have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to have a total of 18 edges. And then for vertices, I know I'm going to have the 6 vertices on the top and the 6 vertices on the bottom. So I'm going to have a total of 12 vertices. And that's what I have for that. Now, based on the drawings that you've created for the square and triangular prism, I kind of not labeled, but like really bolded the vertices. The vertices are a little bit more basic to find, right? So in here, there's 4. And in here, there's 5. With regard to faces, we have the triangle on the bottom. And because the triangle on the bottom has three sides, I know I'm going to have three faces kind of coming up to get to this top vertex. So I'm going to have a total of four faces. And here I have these four triangles around and then one square on the bottom. So when they ask for faces, they don't necessarily mean exactly the same faces. There can be questions like, oh, what are the same exact faces in this shape? And you'd have to know, like in here, it's just the four triangular faces that are the same. And the fifth face is a square. But there are a total of five faces. And then I feel like we're missing something, edges. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 edges. Same business here. I can definitely go in and just count by overdrawing, right? Or drawing over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is the end of that. I would recommend attempting to draw some more shapes, getting a little bit better at them so that you have the ability to really determine what this is. Ideally, we're also looking at understanding the vocabulary in as best as possible because I won't really be going back and explaining what a face is in every single video moving forward. Okay, so make sure you have a good grasp on what is happening with the vocab so that we can move forward a little bit better. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.